49 days have passed. Nancy Guthrie has vanished completely, and that garage hasn't budged. While the public buys into a routine missing persons narrative, detectives are sweating over a bone-chilling dead zone pinging from a hospital network. Yet, the electronic evidence paints a much darker picture. Right around dawn on February 1st, two entirely unrelated technological networks suffered a sudden, synchronized blackout. One was a front porch security lens meant to track visitors, while the other was a life-saving cardiac implant pumping inside an 84-year-old grandmother. That horrifyingly perfect timing sits right at the heart of this FBI manhunt. What kind of ghost manages to blind an outdoor surveillance web while instantly shutting down a biomedical tracker buried inside someone's chest? Such flawless timing demands a terrifying degree of technological genius you rarely see in typical burglaries. Detectives are basically staring into a digital black hole, with each ticking clock. The chances of finding her alive plummet. If you really want to grasp how modern cyber sleuthing actually works, hit subscribe on Cold Case Files USA while we untangle the live evidence from this active manhunt. Right now, the complete lack of any electronic signals is ironically the biggest clue detectives have. We are staring down a mystery shaped entirely by blank spaces, as her technological trail practically evaporated into the dark wasteland. Cops aren't just looking into another run-of-the-mill runaway situation here. They are tracking a phantom who can wipe a soul off the literal map and cybergrid, making that dead cardiac monitor the most terrifying red flag of all. It points to a methodical destruction of every single protective barrier guarding this woman. Such flawless execution points straight toward a highly calculated hit rather than some lucky neighborhood break-in. To grasp the sheer danger here, we have to tear apart the exact details leading up to her vanishing act. Killing that internal heart tracker completely flips the script on how this rescue mission operates. We need to look at her actual bodily limits to see why the clues left behind make absolutely zero logical sense. This is an 84-year-old grandmother whose severe movement issues dictate every single aspect of her everyday life. Her survival relies heavily on a tiny machine buried in her chest, keeping her heart ticking normally. That gadget constantly beams her vital signs straight to a clinical database. This invisible signal acts like a lifeline linking her straight to paramedics, which proves a frail grandmother couldn't have just strolled off her property at midnight. Fleeing that house would demand massive amounts of energy or a getaway car to pull off. Wandering around her Catalina Foothills property brings up massive terrain hurdles for someone in her frail condition. Her whole home was purposefully designed to keep her secure and strictly observed. That front porch lens acted as the absolute primary shield against outside threats. Meanwhile, her heart implant was the final backup alarm, and both were put there exactly, so no crisis or attack could ever slip by undetected. Purposefully knocking out those exact two safeguards exposes a truly terrifying level of premeditation. The attacker knew exactly which safety nets were keeping her alive. They found a way around her bodily weaknesses by completely hijacking her technological lifelines. All her household alarms became entirely worthless in the blink of an eye, and her bodily trackers never even fired off a warning to medics. We are staring into a nightmare where the exact gadgets meant to keep someone breathing were flipped into tools to hide an abduction. You just cannot square the bodily frailty of an 84-year-old with such an incredibly fast, clean kidnapping. Dragging away a senior with zero agility takes a huge chunk of time and serious muscle. Pulling off a heist like this without tripping any wires demands months of hardcore planning. The clues scream that the kidnapper had intimate intel on her frail health and high-tech armor. Having that kind of inside scoop skyrockets the danger rating of this scenario. Detectives now have to figure out how such a fragile target aligns with a cyber attack executed with such deadly perfection. That tiny machine watching over her pulse was meant to be an unbreakable shield against death. Seeing that chest tracker die before anything else just leaves you with an overwhelming chill of absolute helplessness. It proves absolutely that brick walls and smart gadgets cannot stop a highly trained killer. Your own safe haven morphs into a cage the second your surveillance feeds get hacked. The timeline of her last sighting offers our final solid clues. Tommaso Cione dropped his mother-in-law at her Catalina Foothills estate at 9:50 on January 31st. Absolute terror followed an incredibly normal family supper. Everyone walked from the car into the living room perfectly fine, completely unaware of any danger. Their garage door rolled shut smoothly behind the car. That fleeting moment was the last time anyone actually saw Nancy Guthrie alive. The whole house was locked up tight for the night. Everything inside stayed perfectly calm as the midnight hours passed. Then, just before sunrise on February 1st, everything went horribly wrong. Their entire home security grid completely blacked out. Figuring out when that system died is the absolute center of this FBI manhunt. Come Sunday morning, people finally realized the beloved mother was missing. She never even signed on for her virtual Sunday worship. Skipping that strict routine instantly sparked panic and an emergency wellness check. Local deputies quickly arrived at the estate to run a basic safety sweep. That first walk around the property made absolutely zero sense to the cops. Not a single window or door looked broken into. The entire building was still perfectly secure and untouched. Detectives found absolutely zero proof of a fight or hurried escape inside. But crime scene investigators immediately spotted something absolutely chilling. A massive red stain was splattered right across the cement of the front steps. Lab results quickly proved those red drops came straight from Nancy Guthrie. Finding her blood outdoors while her home stayed perfectly locked up presents a truly maddening puzzle for the detectives. Those clues clearly mean she either walked out alone or got tricked outside before the bloody attack. Detectives scrambled to grab the outside security tapes to figure out exactly what happened when. That was the exact second this case flipped from a normal missing persons hunt into a massive cyber mystery. Security records proved someone totally killed the front door lens right before that brutal attack occurred out on the porch. Neither the backup drives nor online servers held a single helpful frame from that crucial time frame. So, cops called her doctors to download live heart rhythms straight from her chest implant. They truly believed that gadget would capture the exact second her heart spiked. Instead, they found out the wireless link got sliced at that exact same time. The tech silence was deafening. Whoever did this did not simply drag this poor woman away. They meticulously wiped every cyber trail of the kidnapping. That red puddle out front remains the only physical clue left in this massive digital void. A dead lens perfectly timing up with a failing heart monitor is mathematically impossible to call a fluke. Police are hunting a ghost who completely knows how to hack a modern house and mute a surgical device. Her physical vanishing is honestly less terrifying than how flawlessly they killed the electronic grid. The entire hunt is deadlocked right where those bloody clues meet the totally wiped server logs. Cyber experts finally pinpointed the exact millisecond the entire home grid totally imploded. Those lenses absolutely did not just drop offline from a standard electrical blackout. Someone hit that broadcast with a hyper-focused and heavily planned jamming attack, just before everything went dark. The server saved a few glitchy frames. Tech experts successfully salvaged a few buried video clips from the preceding days. Logs from January 11th and January 24th reveal some seriously creepy glitches. A dark human shape is lurking right at the far edge of the yard. That unknown stalker monitored the layout in a brutally slow, patient way. Just look at the restored camera feeds playing right on your screen. Check out the background glow and dark shadows in the January 11th clip. Now compare those dark angles against the glitchy screenshots from the night she vanished. The background glow perfectly aligns with the lunar phases on both evenings. This lighting match proves the stalker planned their spying utilizing available moonlight. They mapped out every single lens blind spot weeks before making their actual move. If you love this deep level of forensic breakdown, hitting subscribe on Cold Case Files USA guarantees you never miss an update. That stalking tape reveals a deeply chilling mastery of the terrain. The invader understood exactly where the lens borders stopped and the sheer blackness began. They bypassed that outdoor alarm grid with absolutely flawless military precision. A terrifying digital synchronicity kicked off this entire nightmare. The front porch lens went black at the precise millisecond her cardiac network completely crashed. That horrifying simultaneous blackout represents the ultimate focal point for the entire investigation. The outdoor video feed and her internal vital sensors flatlined perfectly together. That sudden plunge into biometric silence remains their most crucial piece of evidence. Her implanted monitor was engineered to stream constant heartbeat logs to an encrypted database. Her pulse signature did not simply fade away through gradual interference. The live feed vanished instantly in one ruthless and perfectly calculated slice. Detectives are now forced to weigh two entirely conflicting crime scene theories. Either the attacker wielded elite jamming tech to remotely kill a protected cardiac feed, or the tragic alternative, the victim herself actually stopped generating a human pulse. Did this phantom deploy a targeted electromagnetic pulse to purposefully deafen the health monitors, Or did poor Nancy Guthrie suffer a massive lethal heart attack right there before the kidnapping even started? They never found a body by the door, but agents did unearth a strange physical clue. Field units executing a precise grid sweep snagged one lone glove 2 meters away. Crime lab experts swabbed that discarded fabric and managed to pull foreign DNA. That genetic blueprint points straight to an unknown male ghost. Finding it out there creates a massive headache for the search parameters. The porch area showed elite hacker precision with absolutely zero chaotic struggle. Yet this nearby spot holds a sloppy physical blunder that ruins the genius narrative. Police have to figure out if the culprit accidentally dropped it while fleeing blindly. Conversely, perhaps the suspect planted that sweaty fabric deliberately to sabotage the sniffer dog tracking routes. Finding that single glove basically blows up the search perimeter by several massive square miles. Task forces are now burning incredible amounts of manpower just mapping the rugged desert wasteland. Evidence crews are furiously hunting for tiny trace particles along this brand new escape route. Any extra dirt scraped up out there demands incredibly strict testing at the lab. The brass officially locked down the reality of that mystery man's genetics. They are still fiercely debating if that genetic ghost is the dark shape seen on the video. Throwing this rogue DNA trace into the mix completely scrambles an already messy timeline. Detectives must somehow bridge the gap between a godlike digital hack and an incredibly stupid physical fumble. This jarring clash makes the profilers completely rethink the mind of their elusive target. An obsessive stalker mapping out satellite blind spots rarely drops his stuff in the dirt. This massive evidentiary split is causing major migraines for the feds running the perimeter. They have to deploy valuable boots on the ground, chasing a potentially fake decoy trail. The sheer distance to the glove hints the kidnapper used a getaway car to vanish. However, neighborhood shot spotters and nearby security cameras caught absolutely zero engine sounds during that entire window. Hearing zero tire squeals totally ruins the theory of a fast four-wheeled getaway. This frustrating logical trap simply cannot be solved with the clues currently in custody. The squad is now crunching the brutal odds of an escape pulled off entirely on foot. Sprinting a hostage through those jagged Catalina foothills is basically a physical impossibility. The whole case is paralyzed in a tug-of-war between two clashing facts. The dirt says they sprinted through the sandy brush like panicked animals. The computers say an invisible phantom executed a perfectly controlled surgical strike. Detectives are stacking these bizarre paradoxes to somehow engineer a timeline that actually makes sense. Every single newly tested swab just throws another wrench into the gears of the manhunt. All this mounting trivia ultimately crashes into the cold truth the victim is still missing. Simply figuring out the raw mechanics of the abduction is a massive roadblock for the cops. Top behavioral guys and veteran blood spatter experts like Kurt Dabb noticed one glaring structural lie. A chilling glimpse at the security footage reveals one lone figure stalking the dark estate. Taking a frail, 84-year-old victim who could barely walk would take immense physical strength. One person simply couldn't carry away a helpless grown-up without bringing a getaway car. Yet, the dead quiet of the street proves no engine ever rolled up to the house. That glaring physical puzzle completely shatters the usual theory of a lone wolf kidnapping. Detectives just cannot make the math work for one guy quietly vanishing with the target. That logistical nightmare suddenly gets far worse thanks to a jarring twist in the case. Several police departments abruptly caught a flurry of digital messages asking for a huge payout. Curiously, hidden online senders wanted a $6 million payoff, specifically funneled through untraceable crypto channels. Throwing a massive Bitcoin ransom into the mix completely scrambles the presumed reason for the crime. Now, investigators have to dig deep and figure out if this online blackmail is legit. FBI tech experts are tracking the server paths right now to pinpoint exactly where it started. Any typical hostage situation absolutely depends on open contact and solid evidence the captive is breathing. Yet, the people behind this nightmare haven't shown a single shred of proof she's still alive. Having the high-tech skills to disable a heart monitor totally clashes with this messy blackmail scheme. If getting a massive payday was the true goal, wiping out their entire digital trail makes zero sense. Going to such crazy lengths to hide actually ruins their chances of making a successful deal. That weird clash in logic hints that the crypto demands might just be a clever smokescreen. The bad guys are probably using internet chatter to pull the cops far off the trail. These totally different clues have the police trapped in a massive web of endless confusion. Hit subscribe on Cold Case Files USA to stay updated while we track this crazy mystery. An impossible kidnapping paired with a shady online ransom turns this into a massive forensic headache. Detectives definitely aren't hunting your average burglar trying to make a quick buck anymore. Now, they have to carefully study every single tool that lone prowler brought to the house. Those brief, blurry frames right before the lens died hold our next major clue. That dark shadow definitely wasn't walking around empty-handed. The video clearly shows the attacker wearing a very strange and specific set of combat equipment. Figuring out exactly what that custom gear is changes the whole nature of this terrifying crime. Zooming in on the footage exposes a chilling stash of professional combat tools. Those salvaged pixels highlight a suspect ready to pull off an incredibly dangerous job. The suspect wore pitch-black clothes designed to swallow up all the streetlights. A thick winter mask hides every single facial detail from the security lenses. Thick leather gloves guarantee they won't accidentally leave a stray fingerprint behind. You can clearly see a gun holster strapped on during the initial grab. These calculated choices point straight to a cold-blooded and heavily armed professional. But the scariest visual detail is actually a normal piece of outdoor camping gear. The lenses plainly caught them wearing a 25-liter Ozark Trail day pack. Bringing a massive camping bag into the mix throws a wrench into the theory. Any normal smash-and-grab job depends entirely on moving fast and traveling as light as possible. Lugging around a heavy knapsack completely ruins a solo runner's ability to move fast. It's just a stupid risk to take in a chaotic and dangerous situation. Seeing that bag forces the experts to totally rethink how this crime went down. Why would a lone kidnapper need so much extra carrying space during a lightning-fast snatch? That exact mystery has become the absolute center of the main detective's working theory. Just think about what could actually fit inside a 25-liter bag at a crime scene. It gives them plenty of room to hide a heavy, localized signal-blocking machine. A portable jammer perfectly explains why the home alarm system completely flatlined. That perfectly explains why her life-saving heart monitor suddenly went completely, terrifyingly dark. Blanketing a massive luxury estate with total signal dead zones takes an insane amount of raw, heavy-duty power. Hardware strong enough to scramble both home Wi-Fi and medical tech takes up some serious physical space. Stashing a heavy-duty power grid inside that exact hiking duffel makes complete logical sense. Then again, that bag could hold something far more sinister than just a bunch of electronics. A sack that big easily hides huge amounts of physical proof sneaked right out of the house. They might have packed industrial bleach and heavy solvents to completely wipe down the entire crime scene. We might be looking at acid or harsh chemicals meant to melt away any DNA left behind. Cops are currently chasing down both the tech jammer angle and the chemical cleanup crew theory. Blurry camera footage won't ever reveal what's actually zipped inside that pack. Take a close look at the video and tell us what you see. What kind of prowler lugs around a giant hiking bag while making a frantic, split-second getaway? Was the signal killer hidden in there? Or are we dealing with a much grimmer reality? You guys always manage to catch the tiny, crucial clues that professional detectives somehow miss completely. Got a solid hunch about that gear? Hit subscribe on Cold Case Files USA to keep tracking the hard facts with us. Bringing that pack proves the guy knew he'd need heavy-duty supplies for the escape window. Planning like this completely destroys any idea that this was just a simple, random smash and grab. Whoever showed up at that Catalina Foothills estate had one very clear, deadly mission in mind. He brought exactly the right gadgets to completely take down someone under heavy medical surveillance. This was a literal predator stalking a completely defenseless and frail older person. The way he packed his kit shows just how brutally unmatched this whole encounter was from the start. This guy brought military-grade prep to face off against an 84-year-old lady with a bad heart. Seeing such cold-blooded planning absolutely rockets the danger level of this suspect through the roof. The FBI profilers now have to figure out how this monster thinks using absolutely nothing but his tool bag. Covering his face and hands was just basic common sense to avoid leaving DNA or getting caught on film. Packing heat proves he was completely ready to kill. Meanwhile, that mysterious duffel hides the actual dark motive behind the break-in. When you look at his loadout, you see a terrifyingly smart and deeply focused enemy. The guy managed to slip through a high-end gated community without tripping a single sensitive siren. He totally bypassed layers of expensive home defense systems like an absolute ghost. Spotting this commando-style rig on camera just completely changed the whole direction of the massive hunt. Detectives instantly knew they weren't chasing some desperate junkie running from a botched, messy robbery. The cops are now tracking down a stone-cold pro who commands the entire digital grid. Waking up to how dangerous this suspect really is has forced the police to change their entire playbook. Everyone stopped stressing about the deleted video and started holding their breath for the next strike. Detectives are just praying this guy slips up. They desperately need one tiny electronic ping to break the silence. Right now, the task force is running totally blind, with barely any solid leads to chase down. They are still combing the neighborhood, but the ground team hasn't found a single useful clue yet. The main plan relies completely on tech geeks, pulling off an absolute miracle with the data recovery. The feds are practically begging local cell towers to hand over absolute mountains of raw signal history. Analysts are trying to pinpoint every single text and call made in the Catalina foothills that exact night. They have to match up endless piles of random internet traffic against the people who actually live there. The whole goal is spotting just one burner phone glowing suspiciously near the victim's house. Even a pro running top-tier signal blockers might leave behind a tiny, invisible tech shadow. Cyber teams are desperately hunting for a phone that touched a tower once and then just died. Trying to trace a digital ghost like this eats up massive amounts of time and serious supercomputer power. Cops have to sift through everyone's normal web traffic just to find the killer's signal. Meanwhile, Nancy Guthrie's loved ones are stuck in absolute hell, waiting for real answers. A chilling silence fell that February morning, leaving investigators entirely at the mercy of humming supercomputers. Yet, the entire truth of this grim case hinges on two deeply unsettling, lingering mysteries. The initial puzzle centers entirely on what actually went down out on that concrete patio. Forensics definitively matched the scattered crimson traces in one isolated spot to our missing person. How exactly did such a gruesome injury occur out there in the pitch-black night? Experts cannot tell whether the violent attack happened before or after the video feed died. If the lens went blind later, why did it miss the assault entirely? But if the network crashed first, how did the attacker manipulate the surroundings so flawlessly? Oddly enough, the sheer amount of blood left behind directly contradicts the suspected fatal wound. The other glaring unknown forces us to dive deep into heavily encrypted medical tech. Right now, highly skilled biomedical engineers are scrambling to piece together the ultimate heartbeat logs. Their team is ripping through cloud servers, desperately hunting for any stray, broken signal fragments. Did the internal monitor catch a massive heart failure right before the wireless link vanished? Unearthing those last few elusive bytes would completely turn this entire manhunt on its head. Those logs would basically hand us the exact second the violent struggle actually kicked off. It would finally settle the argument over whether a heart attack or a hacker struck first. Detectives are throwing massive amounts of money at chasing down this tiny digital ghost. Meanwhile, the local police are working round the clock, fielding countless calls from community tipsters. Cops are running hundreds of wild, unconfirmed rumors through incredibly strict fact-checking protocols. Dealing with this absolute flood of public chatter takes serious manpower to find actual clues. Every single shady car or weird encounter gets checked directly against the known master schedule. We are completely stuck at a brutal crossroads between high-tech dead ends and a missing body. Law enforcement is sitting on a horrifying pile of evidence detailing the killer's exact planning, yet they have literally nothing that tells them where the victim is actually buried today. Search parties endlessly scour the harsh, unforgiving badlands located just outside the city limits. But honestly, the real manhunt is taking place inside heavily guarded server rooms and cyber labs. Cracking this insane vanishing act probably will not involve digging up some clue out in the sand. The ultimate answer will likely pop out of one unlocked folder or a pinged cell tower. Until somebody cracks that code, the entire case is just banging its head against a brick wall. Your fancy smart house is only as safe as its weakest Wi-Fi channel. Believing that tech makes you bulletproof is the biggest modern lie we tell ourselves. We blindly hand over our personal safety to invisible networks and tiny glass lenses. People incorrectly assume a glowing router guarantees an unbreakable force field around their family. The raw truth this crime reveals about cyber tracking should deeply terrify the everyday person. A smart criminal never even has to touch your doorbell camera to make it go blind. All they must do is silently jam the invisible radio waves talking to the cloud. The fatal flaws built into our gadgets are an open invitation for targeted break-ins. Your everyday home internet constantly broadcasts a unique fingerprint that hackers can easily track. Any creep can buy cheap scanners online and map out every single smart gadget inside your house. They will know your entire alarm layout before they even step foot on your lawn. This exact nightmare scenario proves exactly why you desperately need old-school, hardwired cameras and alarms. Betting your life entirely on a wireless signal gives criminals an easy remote target. We all need to wake up and realize that lazy tech habits are incredibly dangerous. Hooking up your vital pacemakers to your home alarm system essentially creates a terrifying new backdoor. If your heartbeat relies on a steady internet stream, that signal suddenly becomes a bullseye. The way this killer sliced through linked networks means we must rethink everything we do. You absolutely must start questioning what happens when your security alarms suddenly get jammed. Heavy metal locks and actual cabled cameras provide the ultimate firewall against a sneaky hacker. A quick tap on a smartphone app will never beat a solid closed-loop system. Complete cyber fortresses are being shattered into nothingness without making a single sound. The core mystery continuously circles back to that piece of embedded health hardware. What allowed an outside hacker to pinpoint and disrupt equipment buried deep inside a patient? Unlocking that singular cyber mystery will finally explain why she vanished into thin air. Experts are relentlessly tearing through the phone records and shattered camera lenses. Search parties are pushing deeper into the Catalina terrain as new clues map the way. Our team remains dedicated to uncovering each new twist in this complex electronic labyrinth. Join Cold Case Files USA so you never miss a breakthrough. These electronic footprints are scattered, yet they are far from gone. Can government investigators actually salvage those last crucial signals from her hacked heart implant? The whole national manhunt depends entirely on rescuing a tiny string of vital medical code. The sequence of events stays broken until authorities can finally pull those lost bytes. Until the hospital network catches another blip of verified activity. Nancy Guthrie's vanishing acts as a dark, terrifying void across our radar screens. This story is not just about a disappearance. It is a wake-up call about the hidden vulnerabilities in the modern world we trust every day. We often believe technology makes us safer, that cameras, smart systems, and medical devices create an invisible shield around our lives. But this case shows a harsh truth. When we rely too much on technology, we may forget how fragile it really is. Safety is not something we can outsource completely to machines. Real security comes from awareness, preparation, and human connection. Checking on loved ones, especially the elderly, noticing unusual patterns, and staying alert to our surroundings are actions that technology can never replace. At a deeper level, this case reminds us how dangerous knowledge can be in the wrong hands. The same advancements designed to protect life can be manipulated to harm it. That is why the responsibility, ethics, and vigilance must grow alongside innovation. Most importantly, this story teaches us to never become complacent. Comfort can create blind spots, and routine can lower our guard. True safety comes from balanced, trusting technology, but never depending on it blindly. Because in the end, awareness, care, and human attention remain the strongest forms of protection we have.